Welcome back to the deep dive. We are closing out the strategic year by looking right ahead. We're pulling our insights today from the final 2025 Streamline and Scale issue that's from Red Hawk Technologies. And our mission today is pretty sharp. We want to talk about building sustainable AI momentum for 2026. We're not just looking at the cool tech tools, we're connecting the dots on how you get real lasting transformation. It's about focusing on the organizational spine, your people, your culture, and crucially, adaptability.
That's so vital. Because if you look across the industry right now, raw speed seems like the easy answer, right? But the sources we looked at, they make it really clear that speed alone, it's kind of worthless or worse.
Yeah.
The true differentiator heading into next year is all about intentional adoption. Racing ahead without any structure just leads to chaos. So we're here to unpack that framework of the structure that makes speed repeatable and, most importantly, sustainable for you.
Okay, so let's lay out that roadmap then. We've organized this deep dive around three critical pillars. First, the strategic framework. We'll look at Red Hawk's 11 steps for structure. Second, we'll shift to the tech itself, looking at how workflows evolve from, say, basic automation up to full agentic AI. And finally, we'll touch on the real cutting edge of collaboration, this powerful idea called swarm coding. All right, let's dive into segment one, and maybe start with a hard truth. Sustainable speed. It beats reckless acceleration every single time. The guiding principle from Red Hawk really hits home here. Speed doesn't come from chaos, it comes from structure.
Absolutely. That structure is just.
Yeah.
It's non-negotiable. If you're a leader out there planning for 2026, these first three steps, they really lay the groundwork. Think of it as the planning phase. Step one is leadership alignment.
Okay.
This means making AI a standing topic in your leadership meetings. And most crucially, everyone needs to agree on the measurable outcome.
But why, basically?
Exactly the why. Are you doing this for speed, for cost reduction, maybe for quality improvement? If the C-suite hasn't really locked that down, everything else just stalls.
Yeah, I can see that. And that's critical because otherwise the person you appoint in step two, appoint an AI leader, well, they're kind of set up to fail, aren't they?
Precisely. That leader needs real resources, real authority, not just a fancy title.
Right.
Without a clear champion driving things, momentum just fizzles out and the whole initiative gets stuck in, idea mode.
Stuck in the mud.
Exactly. And then, before you even think about buying a single tool, you execute step three, the AI assessment.
Don't just guess where AI fits in.
Please don't guess. Ask your teams. Survey them about those repetitive pain points, the things that drive them crazy. Use a focused tool. Red Hawk mentions their AI decision matrix to zero in on maybe one or two high-impact areas.
Start small.
Yeah, start small. Focus on task augmentation first. Prove the value before you try to boil the ocean with full-scale transformation.
Okay, that makes sense. That brings us neatly into what you're calling the execution phase steps 4, 5, and 6. When Red Hawk talks about establishing guardrails in step 4, are we talking like complex cybersecurity protocols, or is it more about basic rules of the road? Because honestly, a one-page policy sounds almost too simple for something this powerful.
It sounds simple, but it's about enabling speed safely.
Yeah.
They really emphasize starting simple, a one-page internal guideline. It focuses on acceptable use cases, data sensitivity, things like that. It lets teams move fast without getting bogged down in, 20-page governance manifestos right out of the gate.
So it's permission to experiment, but responsibly.
Exactly. Permission with boundaries. And that transparency connects directly to step 5, educate and upskill.
The people part again.
Always. Transparency is your best friend here. It's the ultimate fear mitigation strategy, really. You have to communicate clearly that AI is here to enhance work, to take away the drudgery, the repetitive cognitive load. It's not about replacing expertise itself.
That communication is key.
Absolutely. And all this prep work, it kind of culminates in step 6, launching a focused 90-day pilot.
Focused being the key word, I imagine.
The key word, define one pilot, make sure it has clear inputs, clear outputs, and really clear, measurable success metrics. Like time saved, or maybe a specific quality improvement, a percentage lift, something you can actually point to.
And 90 days is realistic.
For a focused pilot, yes. The sources suggest most organizations see tangible results within that time frame, provided the scope is tight, and those metrics were defined up front.
Okay. Now, this is where we get into the sustainability phase, right? We've run the pilot, maybe it went well, but step 7 hits on data readiness. It feels like this should be happening all along, not just after the pilot.
Well, it absolutely should run in parallel, you're right.
Yeah.
But it often becomes the major blocker when teams try to scale pilot success.
Okay. The scaling challenge.
Exactly. AI, fundamentally, runs on data. It needs clean data, accessible data, secure data. The sources are crystal clear on this. Achieving that organizational momentum you want for 2026. It depends entirely on the data hygiene you establish today. It's the bedrock.
Right. It's the foundation for everything else.
It is.
And Red Hawk isn't just, theorizing about this. They connect this structure back to how they operate themselves, right?
So they practice what they preach. They use what they call an AI-first SDLC. That's Software Development Lifecycle.
So integrating AI into every phase of building software.
Correct. And they also leverage their internal platform called Flight Deck.
Flight Deck.
Yeah, think of Flight Deck as their central hub. It's their operations platform, their governance dashboard. It's kind of the living proof of these principles in action. It shows how that clarity, those disciplined pilots, can genuinely transform operations from the inside.
Okay, so we've built the case for structure, for the human element, for the data foundation. But what kind of technology are we actually building this foundation for? Let's shift gears now. Let's talk about the tech that's really pushing the boundaries of autonomy. This agentic AI shift in workflows.
Right, and this transition is it's pretty profound.
Yeah.
Understanding the stages of automation is really vital if you're planning strategically. We're moving way beyond just fixed rules. Think of it in 3 stages. Stage 1, traditional automation.
The old stuff. If this, then that.
Exactly. It just executes. It's very rigid, follows static rules. If A happens, then do B. It works for simple things, but it's inflexible.
Okay, stage 2.
Stage 2 is AI workflow automation. Now the system learns.
Learns. How so?
It can analyze unstructured data, emails, documents, whatever. It can reason through more complex situations, and it continuously optimizes itself, but still within predefined parameters.
So it's intelligent, but it's still kind of on rails.
Sort of, yes. It operates within established boundaries. Which brings us to stage 3, agentic AI.
The agentic part. This is where it gets really interesting.
This is where the system decides. This is the big leap, the move towards genuine autonomy.
Decides. Wow.
Agentic AI operates through this continuous loop.
Yeah.
It perceives its environment, it plans a course of action, it acts on that plan, and then it reflects on the outcome.
Perceive, plan, act, reflect. Like a learning cycle.
Exactly. The system itself can adjust its goals, make judgment calls based on real-time data and its internal knowledge base, often without needing a human to step in for every single decision.
Okay, I'm really struck by that distinction between learns and decides. Doesn't that fundamentally change the game around risk, compliance, maybe even legal liability? Does decides imply like genuine creativity, or is it more like sophisticated self-correction within really tight, audited boundaries?
That's the million-dollar governance question, and Red Hawk really stresses this. Agentic AI absolutely operates within parameters. These parameters are derived from the organization's own knowledge base, its policies, its rules. So think of it as autonomous execution of a predefined strategy, not free-form human creativity.
Okay, that clarifies it. It's executing strategy autonomously.
Precisely. And that enables truly dynamic workflows. It lets teams move towards actually autonomous systems in areas like, say, advanced compliance checks, or maybe complex customer support routing.
So the business impact we're talking about here is, well, lower costs, obviously. Faster cycle times, things that took hours might take minutes. Improved accuracy, too. But maybe most importantly, it empowers the human teams, right?
Yeah.
Lets them focus on the strategic stuff that only people can really do.
That's the goal. But you absolutely have to manage the pitfalls. Success isn't just guaranteed by the tech.
What are the common mistakes?
The source material highlights a few big ones. Automating the wrong process, picking something with way too much variability, for instance. That's a classic.
Right, setting it up to fail.
Exactly. Also, neglecting that data readiness piece we just talked about.
Yeah.
And crucially, failing to prepare your teams. The change management aspect is huge.
People again.
Always. Assuming that technology alone can fix a broken process or a people issue, that's probably the fastest way to waste a lot of money and effort.
Okay, valuable warnings there. Now, speaking of autonomy and pushing boundaries, let's explore this next frontier you mentioned earlier, something called agentic swarm coding. This sounds like we're moving beyond just the individual AI assistant, the co-pilot helping one developer towards a whole network, a many-to-many kind of collective intelligence.
That's a great way to put it. And the concept is actually inspired by nature. Think about how birds flock together or how ant colonies coordinate complex tasks.
Okay, like emergent behavior.
Exactly. Each individual agent, whether it's a bird or an ant, might have specialized skills or follow simple rules. But together, the swarm creates this complex, highly adaptive behavior. Swarm coding basically applies that idea directly to software development.
So instead of just one AI helper.
Instead of one AI assistant, imagine having multiple intelligent agents all collaborating on the code simultaneously. Maybe one agent is specialized in finding bugs. Another constantly refines performance. A third checks security protocols in real time.
Wow.
It essentially creates an AI-powered collective brain working in parallel on the same code base.
Okay, let's focus on the business outcomes here.
Yeah.
Because that's where leaders are going to see the strategic value, right? Collective intelligence applied to code.
Right. The results are potentially dramatic.
Hmm.
First, speed and agility. Development sites could get much, much faster because work happens in parallel.
Makes sense.
Second, quality and consistency. You've got continuous cross-checking happening by all these different specialized agents. Fewer things slip through the cracks.
Like having multiple expert reviewers looking over your shoulder constantly, but tireless ones.
Precisely. And the human result. This could be profound. Innovation could skyrocket because developers are freed up from the more repetitive, low-level coding tasks.
So they can focus purely on the creative problem solving, the high-level architecture, the really challenging stuff.
That's the vision. And we're already seeing specific, quite compelling examples of this starting to happen. Red Hawk actually highlights their own proactive code remediation process as an example.
Proactive remediation, how does that work with swarms?
They use this agentic swarm framework where different agents continuously analyze and actually improve client software systems. These agents are constantly scanning code repositories, looking for known vulnerability patterns, suggesting performance optimizations, maybe even implementing minor refactoring.
Before a human even flags an issue.
Often before a human even knows a potential problem is developing. It's truly swarm coding in motion, scaling that expert oversight and system maintenance across potentially many projects at once, seamlessly.
So it's not about replacing the programmer, it's about giving them a whole team of incredibly precise, tireless collaborators.
Exactly. It's the ultimate human amplification tool, in a way.
Amplification, I like that.
It blends human judgment and overall direction with machine speed and precision. The goal is systems that are faster, smarter, more resilient right from the start. But human creativity stays right at the center of the whole process.
Okay, that brings us towards our wrap-up then. Looking ahead to 2026, it feels like we've defined 3 really essential pillars for success based on this Red Hawk material. First, structure, remembering those 11 intentional steps.
Absolutely critical.
Second, intelligence that shift towards agentic autonomy in workflows.
Moving from learns to decides.
And third, collaboration, harnessing the power of these AI collectives like swarm coding.
Right. And the pace of AI adoption, AI innovation, it's not slowing down. You know that, so you probably shouldn't either.
Right.
I think the key takeaway, really, from all the source material we looked at, is that success hinges on building the systems and the frameworks that make change feel normal, repeatable, and ultimately sustainable.
Don't outrun your readiness.
That's the mantra. Don't outrun your readiness.
So, final thoughts. What does this all mean for your planning, maybe even starting next week? We talked about how this past year, maybe we moved from automating simple tasks to automating more complex workflows. As you plan for 2026, here's our provocative thought for you to maybe chew on. Next year might be about automating decisions. Where in your current processes? Where could an intelligent agent potentially reason, plan, and act autonomously? Turning what's now a manual, judgment-based decision point into a source of continuous, measurable growth for your organization. Something to think about. That's all for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.